Well, we here. It's not too windy in this cove, but I'm sure when I get out into the main big water area, it's going to be. I'm just letting the wind push me right now. Dag blasted duck hunters. Think it's World War III out here. I've been dragging baits for about a half mile out of this creek. So far they got lockjaw, or they're not here. This is a huge creek system, and I'm gonna cover the whole thing. I personally don't believe there's many blue cat left in Fort Loudoun, but I'm gonna find the ones that's here. When I done this in Watts Bar, long as I got in the right water depth, I caught plenty of fish. I'm in Fort Loudoun. I've been dragging baits for an hour and a half. I probably covered close to 2 miles of this creek, and I ain't caught the first fish. This is ridiculous. Another half a mile and ain't caught jack squat. I was worried about not having enough bait today, but this is Fort Loudoun. If you've got one gizzard shad, you've got enough bait to fish Fort Loudoun all day. This is ridiculous. I may have to pull anchor and go down to Watts Bar just to catch fish. There ain't too many in here no more. I mean, covering this much distance, even if you can't find out where they're actually holding, you think you'd accidentally come across one that's coming or going. I've been drifting for 2 hours without a nibble. Probably covered about 25 miles. When it's this bad, I really don't know what else to do but eat a sandwich. It's bad. This is bad. And I guarantee you I could pull anchor, go right down to Watts Bar, do the same thing, and catch 20 fish. All right, y'all. I've been out here for 4 days straight, dragging these baits, and I ain't caught a nibble. I'm working my way out now into the main channel, getting into a lot deeper water. I don't think it matters in Fort Loudoun. I don't think it matters where you go. You think by luck of the draw, dragging them hooks across the bottom of this reservoir, I'd accidentally snag one. It's windy and it's cold. All right, people, it's 2 weeks later and I'm still out here dragging baits and I ain't caught the first nibble. I've now worked my way out into the main river channel. Surely my trolling motor battery has got to be about dead. I don't care if I fish shallow or deep. This is Fort Loudoun, so I'm not real excited about it. All I can do is keep going. If I keep working my way south, I can go through the lock and get on the Watts Bar side and actually catch a fish. They've still got fish in Watts Bar. I'm getting a little bit of light rain going on, and it's 40 dang degrees with wind. I'm out here in 60 foot of water, and I can't buy a bite because this is Fort Loudoun. Dragging right on the outside ledge, going right around a bend, right where a creek dumps out. Now, if there was fish in this reservoir, I would be catching them right here. Problem is, there ain't no fish. Anywhere else, this would be a good place to fish. Anywhere else, I would have hooked one by accident. I would have snagged it by now. All right, people, it's almost spring, and I'm still out here dragging baits. Not the first bite. It's Fort Loudoun. I come up in this little creek right here because I just flat out didn't know what else to do. I've done covered everything else, and not a bite. Here in Knoxville, there's more catfishermen than there is actual catfish. So if guys ain't like me and let their fish go, this is what happens. See that piece of bait? I've been dragging it in Fort Loudoun for 4 hours. I'm gonna leave it on the hook. Uh-oh. You gotta be kidding me. I won't be leaving that one on the hook because I just hung it up. Now, just for experimental purposes, the same day, with a few hours left of daylight, we're gonna go to Watts Bar, and I guarantee you, doing the same thing I'm doing, on that same piece of bait I pulled out of the water, I catch a fish there in about 15 minutes. Let's go to Watts Bar. All right, people, it's about an hour later. I'm down here on Watts Bar. My original theory was fish should be shallow. Well, that only applies if there's fish in the water where you're fishing. So now I'm down here to a less pressured reservoir, Watts Bar. Same river, same day, same situation, same bait. And the only difference is I'm gonna catch fish here because there's some dag-blasted fish in the water. I'm gonna pull right out of this cove where I launched at, and then there's another cove over in the back. I'm gonna pull back in there also. We're just gonna work this thing. This bait here is the same bait I used for 4 hours over on Fort Loudoun without a nibble. Still windy, but the wind is dying down from earlier. It's supposed to be calming down the later it gets. My trolling motor probably don't have much left in it after all that at Fort Loudoun. I went for miles over there. We'll see how long it takes to catch a fish over here. I fished over there for 4 hours. What time is it?
The time is 3:15 p.m.
3:15 p.m. I'm hung up already. You gotta be kidding me. I just tied that thing, man. There it goes. Oh, I believe that was a bite on the right rod. We ain't been here 5 minutes. I went 4 hours without a bite over in Fort Loudoun. There's a bite. Fish on. He come off. Either way, that's 2 bites already. I can still see the boat ramp. Nothing landed yet. 14 minutes and I already had 2 bites. I was in Fort Loudoun 4 hours. Didn't get jack squat. Same situation. Same river. Same day. Same bait. The only difference is there's still some fish in the water down here. That's a bite. It's bite number 3. I'd say we'll get hooked up for long. Bite number 4. It's a small bite. But hey, that's 4 bites. And I can still see the boat ramp. Bite number 5. And I can still see the boat ramp. Same day, fishing the same way, only downstream where there's some actual dag-blasted fish. There's a bite, there's a bite, there's a bite, and that's on the old bait. The old bait that I fished 4 hours at Fort Loudoun with, and I got a fish on that bait here. Well, there it is right there, people. And I even got that old wore out piece of bait back. I hope this comes loose. I hope I don't have to break it off. There it goes. See, I didn't all of a sudden become a bad fisherman. What happened is Fort Loudoun became a bad place to fish. And I can still see the boat ramp. What time is it?
The time is 3:35 p.m.
It took 20 minutes to get the first fish here, and I fished Fort Loudoun 4 hours without jack doodly squat. Now, if I'd been fishing over here 4 hours, what would I have caught? I knew to come here, and every time I fish Fort Loudoun, I say, I gotta quit fishing this place. But it's what's close to my house, so I keep going back for more punishment. There was a time back in the 90s, I had a little 14-foot Starcraft riveted boat. It used to leak so bad, I kept a bucket in the boat and I would just bucket the water out while I was fishing. I boated 72 cats in a few hours up in downtown Knoxville back in the 90s on Fort Loudoun. At one time, it was a great place to fish. Fishing just like Dieter Melhorn, dragging these baits. Only I'm not using 15 rods, I'm only using 2. there's a fish. Well, he ain't much, but I'm back here in like 3 foot of water. I'm fixing to have to turn around now. I'm at the end of this cove. Woo! Hey, it's better than Fort Loudoun. Couldn't buy a bite there. 4 hours. Oh, 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 oh. I'm only in about 3 foot of water here. Like I say, I knew there'd be fish shallow. You just got to get out of Fort Loudoun. Can't buy a bite over in Fort Loudoun. Come on up here. Ah, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. That's 2 back here in super shallow, 3 total in less than an hour. That's telling me the fishing on Fort Loudoun is sour. I believe that little fish is on there. Yeah, he's swimming towards the boat. I know he's on there. Boy, that's a skinny old thing. Wasn't sure if he was still on or not. I had to finish my water first. Either way, I believe that's 4 fish. Same exact day, same exact way. I couldn't get a bite in Fort Loudoun after being there for 4 hours, covering about 4 miles of river. I knew some guys that worked at Swaggerty's back in the 90s. They caught 20 fish in one night that weighed over 40 pounds in Fort Loudoun. This was back in the 1990s. In the late 90s, In Fisherman magazine rated Fort Loudoun one of the top 10 places in the country to catch a world record catfish. I guarantee you if they rated it now, it would be in the top 10 worst lakes in the country. Fishing pressure is a real thing, people, and it has a big effect on your reservoirs. The most people live on Fort Loudoun. It also got a lot of publicity over the years. Catfishing became popular. People that never fished in their life started fishing for catfish. That gave it even more pressure. There we go. Better than Fort Loudoun. Watts Bar is a declining fishery as well. It was about 10 years ago when all the local guys made the transition from Fort Loudoun to Watts Bar. When I first started fishing Watts Bar off the bank, the cove that I launched my boat out of, I used to bank fish this time of year in the winter. It was always a guaranteed fish, which is why I would drive 60 plus miles just to come here. The average size of fish that I would catch sitting off the bank went between 15 and 30 pounds. You got a lot of 20, 25 pound fish out of here on the norm. And getting 30 pounders were fairly easy. Now, 10 years later, the average size fish you get in here this time of year is between 2 and 15 pounds. Watts Bar is what Fort Loudoun was a few years ago. I knew when I came over here I would catch fish. Had nothing to do with barometric pressure, the moon. You just can't catch fish hardly out of Fort Loudoun no more. This has been going on for 9 months. Years ago, I watched a guy, he custom made rods. He was on the Channel 10 News, fishing Watts Bar. He took one of the news guys with him out on his boat, said, "I'm going to catch a 60 pounder today." He did, because 60 pounders were easy to catch 20 years ago on Watts Bar Reservoir. Now, if you fish Watts Bar Reservoir all year long and you get a 60 pounder, you're doing pretty good. Easing my way back to the ramp. I don't like trying to get the boat on the trailer in this wind, and this ramp isn't lit up very well, so I spent just a little bit of time here and caught 5 fish. I spent most of my day dragging baits for miles on Fort Loudoun without a single nibble. Watts Bar will eventually be the same way. Typically, I had no trouble catching big fish in the fall off the bank in Fort Loudoun. This year, when fall came in my boat, the biggest fish I got was about 35 pounds. Most of the time, the trip was a bust, which is why I went to Melton Hill Reservoir, or Tellico, or Watts Bar to get all my best fish for my fall videos. My biggest fish this year came from Nickajack, a good 100 and something miles from here. Lots of people are fishing Nickajack now because they're feeling the pressure of these two areas. Either way, I'll keep coming out here, but I've been fishing these reservoirs for 20 something years, and I'm going to tell you that fishing pressure is real. There's still big fish somewhere out here. There's still a big fish somewhere in Fort Loudoun. But you're going to work, and you're going to work hard for them nowadays. Years ago, it was no problem to catch a 30 pounder off the bank in Fort Loudoun. You could do it up the river or down the river. Now, if you catch a 30 pounder in Fort Loudoun, you've had a good day. Guys are winning fish tournaments in Fort Loudoun with a 20-pound fish nowadays. Years ago, you could catch 10 fish over 40 pounds. I was catfishing long before catfishing was cool. And I've seen what once was and what is now. No matter how bad it gets, I'll come out here anyhow This is a video. There was fish in the video. That makes it a fishing video. This is Catfish Dave with another one. Signing out.